Scanning. Identity authorized. Welcome to the Secret Superhero Club Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Animation Station Podcast, your home for discussions and debates about all things animation. Each week, we'll rank, review, and revel in animated shows from yesterday and today, and from around the world. So grab your Acme slingshot, set your mobile suit to autopilot, and put on your mouse ears. The Animation Station Podcast begins now.
Jasmine versus Anna going at each other? That would be good.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So I don't think I'm going to draw those.
But it would be cool.
I might. If I can come up with a good concept for it, I definitely
Well, you can just do Disney. Oh, that would be cool if you just did all Disney people fighting each other.
Yeah.
Like, then you could have, like, Aladdin versus Flynn Rider.
Well, see, I once had an idea about doing, basketball teams, like a Disney basketball team, and a Marvel basketball team, and a Star Wars basketball team.
And a Star Trek basketball team?
Maybe Star Trek, and pick some genres, and then put them in a bracket and have them face off. So I have had similar ideas, but I never did any of them. Sometimes they're better in your head than they are when you start drawing them.
Yeah.
But sometimes it just takes a while. So, all right. So we're going to talk about Secret of Kells this week, aren't we?
Yeah, but I think we need to, maybe say who we are first.
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah. I'm Josh.
I'm Gavin.
And thanks for listening to episode 2 of the Animation Station Podcast.
Yeah, welcome back, guys. We're excited.
Kind of had a bit of a ramble there.
We did have a ramble, but that's what we do.
Quite fun. All right, so we're talking about the Secret of Kells.
Yes, if you guys didn't see the midweek post, which we're going to put out every Wednesday going into our episode for Monday, this way it'll give you guys a chance to watch what we're going to talk about, and if you haven't seen it already. So the Secret of Kells, if you didn't watch it already and you want to watch it, it is available on both Netflix and Hulu, which is awesome. So because most people have one or the other, or sometimes both. And it's also available to either rent or buy on Amazon. They don't have it free, but you can rent it. I think it was like $3.99. So it's worth watching. If you don't have one of those streaming services, pay the $3.99 just to give it a watch. It's good. I like it.
So, Gavin, where did you first, were you just, flipping through Netflix and you saw this?
This movie came out 7 years ago, and I became aware of it pretty early on after its debut, and I don't remember how I heard about it. I think I saw a preview for it on another movie that I was watching, but I basically am down to watch almost any feature animated film. So flipping through Netflix and other things, I'm always on the hunt, and will almost watch anything that's animated to a certain extent.
Just click on that go to that anime tab.
Yeah.
And look at all that wonderful goodness there.
A bigger pool than I usually jump into, but this one was a standout. It really jumped out of the screen at me just watching the trailer and seeing kind of some of the information about it. But like I said, it came out in 2009, and it's a European film. It's French, Belgian, and Irish. 3 different studios from those countries came together to make it. It was largely made in Ireland, and it's but it is set in Ireland, and it has a bit of a historical element to it in that it's centered around an actual historical artifact and what many would consider a work of art called the Book of Kells. And the Book of Kells is probably the most famous and what's considered the highest masterpiece of illuminated manuscript from the Middle Ages. It's from about 800 AD, And if you haven't ever seen any images of it, just Google Book of Kells. You'll see the crazy, intricate calligraphic and stylized symbolism art. The genre of art, or the era of art, it's called Insular Art. And I don't want to bore everybody, so I'll be really quick here. But it's basically the type of art that was being done in Ireland and England in monasteries, mostly from about 600 AD all the way up until, at least in Ireland, until about the 12th century. So about 400 or 500 years. And this is basically the highest form of that type of art. And once you see it, you'll recognize that you've seen things like it. It's inspired, styles of art and calligraphy and
if you've been to a Catholic
fairy
church.
tale books. Yeah, you'll see a lot of it in Catholicism. But this movie is basically a story written around the idea of what may have been going on and when this book was being created and how it got created. There's no true knowledge of exactly who made it, down to the person, or exactly the process of, or the length of time it took to make it and things like that. But they came up with this great story that, says, well, maybe it happened this way. And that's what this movie is about. So it jumped out at me because I've always been aware of the Book of Kells, being a fan of art and art history, and I wanted to see it. And when I did, I was pleasantly surprised that it was very good.
Yeah, this.
So we watched it last
night. Yeah.
So you've had time to sleep on it. So give me your reaction to Secret of Kells.
It was good.
Okay.
Like, I liked the art styles, because there was multiple. It looked like there were multiple styles in there.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Like, there's some of the parts where, like, when you see Aiden is his name, right?
Brendan.
Aiden's the other. Aiden's the
brother. Aiden is
Aiden.
His uncle.
Like, those are different styles. Like, with you have the abbot, who's like basically square. Then you have Aiden, who's kind of more flamboyant. He has like rounded edges and everything like that. Same thing with Brendan. He's kind of like Aiden, so he's like a different animation style than like the other brothers.
Yeah.
That are with him. They're all kind of like squanched and everything like that. Just kind of like
squanched. New word from Animation Station.
Squanched. Yes. We'll put that on a T-shirt. Squanched.
Yeah, squanched.
I need to watch it again,
okay.
I think. But like initial impressions, yeah, I mean it was good. I was not a fan of the ending.
Okay, you said that.
But yeah,
we're not going to necessarily spoil it for anybody, but
I think we can. It's been 7 years.
Okay, well,
I mean, I'm not going to go bit by bit.
If you haven't watched it yet, you may want to pause, watch it, and then come back. But yeah, go ahead. Tell us about the ending.
See, my whole thing is, like, and the main reason that I really like a lot of anime is I love that love story. Like, that's why I like Tangled, and just because I like the love stories.
Yeah.
I thought there may have been possibly something with Brendan and it's Ashlyn. Ashlyn.
I think it's pronounced Aislinn.
Aislinn.
But it's Aisling. I think us English people would say Aisling.
Aisling.
But it's like
at first
Celtic.
I thought he was saying Ashlyn the whole time.
I thought the first time I saw it, I thought it was just Ashley. But
yeah, like when he first says that, but then he starts
kind of
like
sounds like that. Yeah,
changing it a little bit when he gets to know her. So I'm gonna call it Aisling.
Yeah, and she's supposed to be some sort of kind of Celtic mythological seeress of the woods.
Yeah,
that in that
he
time
basically
period,
calls her a fairy.
Yeah, in that time period, there were legends about these beings appearing to you in your dreams, giving you wisdom or telling you something. And she's kind of one of those characters, but she's a little girl and he's a little boy. And it just seems to be
I thought it was perfect.
Yeah.
And I was like, I liked their character dynamic with each other.
I did too.
They were really good. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is where we're going to... No, that's not where we're going to go with this at all.
Yeah.
She's going to basically go away and he's never going to see her again except in the guise of a wolf. And I was like, no. Screw this. I don't care that you're Catholic. I mean... the whole can't follow you know, the priestly. We can go into that, but I went to a private school for my whole entire career, so I know how that.
So it brought back some feelings for you.
Yeah, I was like,
okay.
no. But yeah, like I wanted more of like when they're in the forest, just kind of the two of them together, and
she's so cute.
Cat. What's
yes.
the cat's name?
I don't remember. It's got a weird name.
Yeah.
I can't remember. She sings that song with his name in it. I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, I don't.
It is a cute cat, but
it's a cute kitty.
I hear what you're saying. I think it would have been cool if they had,
Pangor.
gotten together. I guess.
Panger. I think it's Panger.
Panger, sure.
Whatever. If the movie was more of them together, that would have been fine.
Cool.
Because it felt like that ending was rushed.
Really?
Like they did that weird Lion King. Like after everything happens with the city or village, and then it's just Aiden and Brendan and Kitty Cat. It felt like it was kind of I guess we needed to see the progression of time, which we saw the progression of time in a very nice, Hakuna Matata
type. Brendan was getting
thing.
older, and so was his master.
Yeah, which I got that, but it just went from that to the boom to the end. It was like maybe a minute, and that was the end. And I was like, oh, geez.
I don't know if it was that quick.
It was really short.
It was a little quick. They had kind of told the story that you needed to hear up to that point.
But we have they leave, and then it's maybe you're right. Maybe it's like 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah. And then we're back at the village.
Yeah, but then you get that whole nice scene where his uncle gets to see him, and he is softened at this point a little bit, and he gets to present to him the book, and it blows his mind, and then it kind of ends with that last.
Yeah, but I wanted him to go live in the forest.
Well, he's got to let
the
book be seen. He's got to let it be seen, because that's the whole purpose of the book. The actual book itself was meant to be, it's the equivalent to the stained glass windows in all those Gothic cathedrals in Europe. Those stained glass windows were meant to impress upon the people who were inside that church, and they were supposed to, inspire and show them the presence of God through that beautiful light and color and design. And the illuminated manuscripts from the earlier era were doing the exact same thing. And so the whole point of the book is for it to be seen. And so he can't just be a hermit in the woods. And the book was never meant to be behind the walls of Kells. Yeah. It was meant to show its light to the rest of the world.
I get all that, but that's not the movie I wanted. I wanted them to get together. I
got you. All right, so out of 5, how many Kim Possibles do you give it?
I would probably give it... I'm not going to give it any Kim Possibles. If anything, I'm going to give it some Ron Stoppables. Okay. I would probably give it about 3 Ron Stoppables.
So is that like -1 through -5? The Ron Stoppables?
Ron Stoppable was probably one of the best characters in Disney history, sir.
So we're still ranking it in the positive. I'm just trying to make sure I'm clear. All right, so you gave it 3?
I give it 3.
Okay, I give it 4 Jiminy Crickets.
I hate that that's your standard is Jiminy Cricket.
What's wrong with Jiminy Cricket?
Stupid cricket.
Oh, we're going to have a battle when it's the Pinocchio episode.
See, I almost said Dumbo, but that was a mouse.
That's Timothy.
They're the same. Same disposable top hat wearing characters.
Oh my gosh. I totally disagree. We're going to have a battle when that comes down to it.
I will say there were some parts of the animation that I liked. Mm-hmm. Like, whenever they did do that, like you have like the 3 panels, and then he would be in this panel, and then be in a different panel, and then be in a different panel, and that was showing different, like I guess maybe like time changes or progressions that he's doing. I did like that.
Yeah, it was very much like sequential or comic art, where they were using panels to show a montage that was happening, or show traveling a distance, which was happening, things like that. Or in that last scene, showing time passing. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was all very interesting too. I don't think that enough animated directors use that type of format, because I think it's great. I think it's a really good storytelling tool. You can pack a lot of information into a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And this movie's not
only
long.
an hour and a half.
Not even that. I think it's like an hour and 10 minutes. It's pretty short. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's about an hour and 10. And it
probably
goes.
just felt longer because we let the credits roll.
We did.
It
We
was about 10
watched.
minutes
We
worth of
watched it
credits.
all the way to the end, and we heard all those songs and the poem that's in the middle. And yeah, it's very, very Celtic. But I liked the animation style in this movie so much. I think they designed a style. They went with a style, and they just held to it throughout this movie. And I don't see enough animated movies where they have a super stylized look and they just nail it down and then they just write it the entire time like that. I enjoy that very much. It kind of reminded me of something like Samurai Jack, or anything that Genndy Tartakovsky did. It was super stylized, and he just nails that style every moment of whatever he's doing, and I like that. I think it's really cool because it really seems cohesive. Like every part of that movie seemed cohesive, where so many animated movies have things that seem like they don't belong or don't quite sync up with the rest of the world that they're in. I'm talking to you, Frozen. And
man,
so, shut up. That's terrible.
Whenever someone mentions Frozen, I'm just gonna let it go.
Yeah, it was. We'll talk about Frozen at some point in the future too, I'm sure. But I really love the style of it, and they brought in all of that Celtic look to it, but it has a modern feel as well, so it's palatable by a general audience. And it was all most of it was CG, so it was done in a style like a 2D style, but with computer graphics. And so there were layers happening, almost like a diorama at some points. And I just really liked the way that they made all that happen. And then you kind of see what their inspiration is at the end when you actually see that page from the Book of Kells and how it starts to lift, and you see the different layers and the animated pieces of it. And you can see where they drew their inspiration for the look and the colors and the feel of this movie from that actual manuscript. And it's hugely impressive to me. I just think it's a wonderful homage to a historical work of art, and I think that is commendable to do something like that. I don't see enough things like that. It reminds me a little bit of a movie that DreamWorks did back in the 90s. Did you ever see the movie Prince of Egypt?
Yes.
Do you remember the dream sequences that were all done in hieroglyphs?
Yes.
Animated hieroglyphs? I thought that was fantastic.
My school took me took the school on my birthday. Because
Nice.
it came out December 18th.
Oh, nice.
So we actually went and saw that. I was like, yay!
Hey, awesome. Well, I think that's a great movie. It's one of my favorite DreamWorks animated films and one of my favorite animated movies of all time. I think it's just spectacular. But the thing that immediately impressed me from a historical standpoint was those scenes where he was having those dreams and he was dreaming in hieroglyphs.
Yeah.
Because you got to think of somebody living in that world in that time. So much of their life is spent around hieroglyphs and reading hieroglyphs, understanding the symbology. Especially an educated man like him, he would have understood the hieroglyphs and they would have been a part of his daily life. And the idea that he would dream in hieroglyphs makes perfect sense, but it's not something I ever thought of until I saw that movie. And I adore that movie, and that's one of the main reasons that I do, because of little things like that. And I feel like seeing the style of Secret of Kells come alive as if it were an illuminated manuscript that's now animated really impresses me.
Well, they do that whole thing where, like, whenever Brendan is, like, seeing anything, like, if he's asleep or if he's sketching, like, he has the little bitty, like, the little blue, like, pictographs and everything that are, like,
symbolism,
all around him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I can definitely see the comparison there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think this movie is absolutely worth watching. It may not be everybody's favorite movie. It may not be something that most people want to watch over and over again. But as a work of art and a piece of animation history, I think it's really important. And we don't get enough influence out of Europe here in America, I don't think. I think we get a huge influence from Japan and other countries in the Far East.
There's a lot of stuff that comes out of Canada, too.
Is there really?
Yeah, there's a lot of, mainly like cartoon stuff that comes out of Canada.
Like television stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, see, I'm not as up on the TV. I'm more about the feature animation. But I wish Europe was doing more. They're doing more in stop motion animation than they are CG or hand-drawn animation. But I feel like the stuff that I've seen is so great and so beautiful that I wish it had more of an influence on the American animation industry. I feel like they're sometimes more artful, kind of like European film in general. We call them art films because they're more about an artistic statement than they are about explosions and entertainment and whatever that we get caught up here in America with so much. But it's sometimes true of their animation as well. And this is a perfect example of something that you would never see made here. No. And I'm so glad that they made it. And I hope everybody goes out and watches it.
That being said, I was not bored in this movie. And that's usually saying something, because there'll be a lot of movies or anime that they'll have a lull, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, come on, let's get back to it. This one didn't really. That never really happened.
Yeah.
I was into it the whole entire time.
That's good. Yeah, I think it does a good job, even with the slow moments, making it clear that something is still important is happening. There's never a wait, what's going on here? You always know what's happening, even if there's a slow moment or a quiet moment in the film. So I think they do a good job of the pacing and everything. And what did you think about the music? Did you notice the music? I know that doesn't leap out at you at first.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's that whole bit where they're running through, where there's no dialogue, and Aiden's teaching Brendan how to make the green ink, and they're in the he and Aslan are in the forest, everything like that. But yeah, I heard the music there because there's no dialogue.
Right.
So I'm like, oh yeah, it was good. And the ending bit, I really like that poem at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
During the credits.
As I think I read that's some ancient
I read it. It's something
poem
about Pangor.
Yeah,
which is the name of the cat. So
yeah. So, yeah, they draw on Celtic mythology, they draw on Beowulf, they draw all these literary things into it, as well as the Christian symbolism. And, that part of the world and that time was still not solidly or purely Christian. There was still a lot of lingering, remaining mythology.
Yeah, because the abbot does talk about pagans a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, there were a lot of influences on the art world in that area at the time. So it makes sense that this movie too is a hodgepodge of symbolism in some ways. So yeah,
the characters in this, I think, were probably the strongest thing for me. Like Brendan, Aslan, Aiden, the abbot even, all really strong characters. Because you knew what the abbot was doing the whole entire time. You could understand his motivation throughout the whole entire movie. He's like, okay, yeah, he wants to protect everybody and make sure that the cool-looking Northmen guys don't come in and take them all out.
Yeah, what did you think about the Viking-esque?
They look like samurai. They look like Samurai Jack villains.
They kind of do. They kind of do. Yeah, they're very menacing though, and I love how they made them just wherever they were in complete shadow almost. They were basically silhouettes where you could just see the gleam of their sword and the glow of their eyes, and man, they were just horrifying, and you understood why they were building this huge wall around their city night and day for their entire lives to keep this. I also like
that they showed progress on the wall too. Like when we first go there's the big circles that are taken out, and then the circles slowly start coming together, and then some of them even disappear because they fixed the wall, which I thought was a really nice touch that didn't really have to do. You could have just said, "Oh yeah, they're working on the wall,"
right?
But to actually do that and fill in the wall was actually pretty cool. I thought it was pretty clever.
I agree. All right, you ready to move it into the next section?
We can move into the next section. Go for it.
What are we doing next? We're doing top 5?
Yes, I think we're going to do top 5.
Sweet. Let's do a top 5.
And that's when
you want to take a note of where that is? Or
no,
Liam does a clap, so it spikes the audio.
Ow!
It's hilarious.
All right, Gavin. Since this is basically your episode, okay. What did we want to do the top 5 over?
So I think this week we're going to do our top 5 Disney feature animated films.
Disney feature films.
Yes, and so do you want to do it 5-1 or do you want to do it 1-5?
I say we do it 5-1.
I do too. Perfect. Okay. So I want you to go first.
Oh God. Well, see, no.
Because I want to end.
You're gonna throw all kinds of weird garbage in there.
Disney doesn't do weird garbage.
Yeah, I know, but you'll somehow find something weird.
No.
This was the post-World War II epic classic in Star. That's what you'll come up with. It's like, or remember when I don't know, you'll do something that has I'm
not gonna pick like Aladdin 3 or something like that.
Dude, Aladdin 3 Arabian Nights was a great film.
It actually was. The second one was bad, but the third one was good. It's worth watching the whole trilogy.
Jafar.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, okay, so my top 5, start with number 5.
Okay.
Gonna go. I didn't remember. I had the dates written down, but I left those. Gonna go with The Sword and the Stone.
Sword in the Stone.
Love The Sword in the Stone.
Interesting.
Mainly because I love King Arthur.
See, I like Arthurian legends as well. I think The Sword in the Stone is, for me, it's a middle-of-the-road Disney movie. I think The Sword of the Stone gets good halfway through when Mad Madam Mim arrives. Once she arrives, the rest of the movie's great.
Oh,
but I think up until
him
then,
just going around with the chamber, like with the same exact scene from Fantasia.
Yeah, I'm just not. I feel like the first half of that movie lacks a little. I love the artwork on it. The stylized look of it is great. You know, I love that. But I think the movie and the characters and the plot doesn't get going until that catalyst comes in, which is Mim.
But when it does get there,
it's awesome.
It's a great movie.
It's great. That battle between her and Merlin is priceless.
Yes.
I heard another podcast talk about the possibility of redoing that movie as a live-action movie because Disney is...
We can talk about that podcast. They're part of our family.
Was it Cloud City Cast that did it? Okay, great. Yeah. So our friends over at Cloud City Cast
like, geez, you're going to throw shade on them already? Gah.
No, we love those guys. But they had talked about it because, you know, Disney is doing so many of their old animated movies as live action now. They've got 5 or 6 in the works, I think, and they were talking about which ones they wanted to see, and that was one of their ideas. And the idea of seeing Merlin and Mad Madam Mim go at it and just using CG, turn themselves into all these different creatures in this little battle and this little spat that they're having would be cool. Amazing, I think. I totally agreed with those guys.
My number 4.
Oh, wait, do we want to go back and forth? Like you do 5, I do 5, you do 4, I do 4, back and forth.
Okay, yeah, we can do
Let's do it that way.
Your number 5.
My number 5 is the original, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Still a masterpiece of animation. Yeah, you look like you're falling asleep and dying, whatever. The feat that the Disney studio pulled off when they created that movie in 1937, okay, is when they did that. 1937, full-length feature animated film. It's stupendous. It's a beautiful work of art. In some ways, it seems so old, like so many movies of that era, that it's hard to kind of relate to some of the aesthetics and sensibilities of it. But I think so much of it holds so well today that it's just phenomenal. I mean, who doesn't love those Seven Dwarfs? They're hilarious.
Me. I don't.
What? They're great. It's classic humor.
If I'm gonna go my original like Disney introduction-y princess, everything like that, it was Sleeping Beauty. Okay. I think Sleeping Beauty is a far superior film.
Well, you haven't heard the rest of my list. Maybe I do too.
I'm pretty sure Dumbo and Pinocchio are somewhere on that list.
You see, you're really wrong about one of those. But yeah, that's the original, and I think it still belongs in the top 5. It is an amazing work of art, and I will never get tired of it.
Well, see, you're an old soul, so you're going to be more drawn to these older movies.
Yeah.
Josh, not so much.
Okay.
I think
you're gonna bring the new
Sword in the Stone is my
that the
oldest that I go,
okay.
And that was what, the 70s?
I want to say it was late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact year on that one.
I had them all written down.
Yeah. All right, what's your number 4?
My number 4, Disney's Aladdin.
Yes, that's a great pick.
Yeah.
I think it is actually underrated. I think it is so good. I love Glenn Keane. He's one of my favorite animators, and he is the one that animated Aladdin in that movie. He did The Beast, Beauty and the Beast. He did Ariel and Little Mermaid. He did Pocahontas. He's a famous Disney animator, and I've watched the entire movie of Aladdin just to watch Aladdin's hands. Because Glenn Keane is a master. And watch his hands. They're perfect in every scene. I love it. Anyway, tell me what you think about Aladdin.
I can't remember when I saw Aladdin. When did that come out?
92.
92.
No, 90. I think 92.
Because it was like right before.
So I think Little Mermaid 89, Beauty and the Beast 91, Aladdin 92, and then 2 years later, 94 was Lion King.
Lion King, yeah.
What a run, man. What a run.
I can't remember if I saw that in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
I think I may have. I may have seen that in
theaters.
many
times.
But I just remember watching it and I was like, I really like Aladdin. Like, I want to be Aladdin. Like, I want to go to maybe not Agrabah because it doesn't exist, but I want to go out to some Middle Eastern country and just be a village. Yeah, just be a little vagabond rat kid and just go around and steal bread and give it to less fortunate.
Yeah, littler
street rats, exactly.
And have a monkey sidekick.
No, I don't want the monkey
What
sidekick.
kid doesn't want a monkey sidekick?
I don't.
Even as a
like
kid,
monkeys.
you didn't?
I don't like monkeys.
Man, that's too bad.
Dude,
Abu's great.
Like, I watched Planet of the Apes, and those monkeys were scary.
That's a different kind of monkey.
They were really mean to Charlton Heston.
They were. All right. My number 4 is the movie right next door, The Lion King. I think of that era, to me, that's still their masterpiece. Of that new Renaissance era, starting with Great Mouse Detective and Little Mermaid going all the way through the 90s. To me, Lion King is their top piece that they did during that era. Yes. And I think it is a tour de force of animation, of layout design, the music, the storytelling.
Matthew Broderick, Jonathan Taylor Thomas,
JTT
James
brings
Earl
it.
Jones.
Yes. Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean.
Rowan Atkinson is in that movie.
Yeah, he's Zazu. I mean, it's just got everything. It's funny. I love Timon and Pumbaa. I think it's stupendous. And it actually is the movie that I saw in the theater more than any other movie I've ever seen. I saw that movie 18 times in the theater,
Jeebus.
Which is a lot. My wife saw episode 1, Star Wars. I think she saw it like 23 times. So she's seen one movie in the theater more than I have. But my personal record is Lion King, and I saw that 18 times. And I will never forget when I first saw it. It blew my mind.
It's so good.
It is good.
Man. All right, number 3.
Bring it.
Disney's.
You don't have to say that. It's a Disney list.
But when you see them on like the DVDs,
yeah,
and
that's true.
Like
they all say Disney's.
Disney's whatever. Mulan.
Really?
Yes.
Above Aladdin?
Love Mulan. Yes.
What?
Dude, I was like itsy bitsy when Aladdin came out. I was a little bit older when Mulan came out.
I was negative 40 something when Snow White came out.
Well, yeah, but you're an old soul.
No, that's true. Wow, I'm fascinated. Why do you like Mulan that much?
Because it's freaking Mulan. Have you seen Mulan? Okay. It's fantastic.
So the theme that I'm sensing is you've already picked 2 movies with girl characters sung by Lea Salonga. So it's really you're a Lea Salonga fan.
Yes.
I am too.
But no, I mean, like, I liked the whole Chinese aspect, because I think that's as close as Disney's come to. Well, I guess Big Hero 6, like any sort of like Asian-esque
Yeah, but to be fair, it was still here. It was just San Francisco.
I know, but
Just a Japanese-inspired San
almost
Francisco.
Japanese. So yeah, I guess Mulan is like their like Asian.
Well, they're about to go to the
movie.
South Pacific with Moana, so.
Yeah, but we're not there yet.
True.
Moana could make this list.
Yeah, it looks
But
good. It looks good.
As of right now, as of July 30th of 2016, Mulan, far superior.
Nice.
The music in it is great. Like, let's get down to business.
Yeah, you know.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. The music is great. I have a problem with some of the really cheesy voice actors that are in it.
Name one really cheesy voice actor.
The guy, like all the guys that are singing along with Donny Osmond in that song are so cheesy.
Say goodbye to those who know me. It's
yeah,
great.
Exactly.
It's fantastic.
I mean, to me, like, if you take that song, that's the equivalent to "I Got a Dream" in Tangled, and I think they do such a better job in that one. Where it's a lot of crazy characters and they have all these different voices, but they pulled it off in that one. That's really the only thing I don't like about that movie is
it had
some of those
cricket.
people singing. It did have a cricket. It did have
a cool horse.
Eddie Murphy, who I'm not a fan of, but he did good as Mushu.
Yeah.
And actually, it has one of the most forgotten and villains, I think. What's that guy's name?
Chang or Shang? I think it's along those lines.
He's scary, though.
Yeah.
He's got that falcon.
The falcon's cool.
So cool.
It turns into like a weird like rotisserie chicken later on after Mushu like burns it. But I think that was like the first time that is that like one of the first times that Disney did the whole horse thing as a kind of like secondary character.
There's been a whole decade and a half now of a lot of Disney horses that have been prominent characters.
Because it was either because like
Pegasus was before that because that was in
Pegasus
96.
Before? Okay.
Yeah, and Mulan I think was in 98 or 99. Yeah. Yeah. So there was that. That may have been the first real. I mean, there was a couple really cool stylized horses in Aladdin, but they weren't really characters.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like I would say like Pegasus is a character.
Belle had a pretty cool horse too.
Yeah.
Big, like, Clydesdale-looking horse.
Yeah,
cool.
But it didn't really do much.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think that's the first time it was kind of a character.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no horse can touch Maximus. Maximus is the best, I think.
Maximus is pretty good. Except I didn't like the whole, like, he was also, like, part dog.
No, I didn't think they did it really with him. I think he was...
Are you kidding me? He went, like, down on the road, like, stiff.
In parts, he was more... I think that it was a mix, because parts of it he was almost bird-like, kind of like Pegasus, too. I think it was just that he was a really charismatic, flamboyant, overacting horse, and which was funny to me. I do, as you know, have a problem with every animal sidekick having to have dog mannerisms. I think it's overused and overdone, but whatever. I digress. I'm still surprised you ranked Mulan over Aladdin.
We're not done yet,
fathom
my friend.
this. Oh my gosh.
We're not done.
All right, time for my number 3. My number 3 is what I personally consider to be the most underrated Disney movie of all time.
Black Cauldron.
No, I think Black Cauldron is exactly properly rated.
You're an awful person.
I'm not an awful person.
They should make Black Cauldron a live-action movie.
It would probably be better.
Freaking Kirky.
Yeah.
Just put an Ewok in. Well, Disney's got it now.
It is kind of Ewok-y. Anyway, my number 3, Disney's Robin Hood. I think Robin Hood is a perfect movie.
I don't see how Robin Hood's underrated.
Because it should be in everybody's top 5, and it's not.
I mean, it's definitely in my top 10. It should be
recognized. Everybody should consider it one of their most perfect movies. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing. It has a wonderful style, which is fully realized and consistent throughout. So it's a unified statement visually. It has great music. Roger Miller's work on that movie was fantastic. I love Roger Miller, and what he brought to that was this kind of down-home sensibility and charm in his strange kind of country music that he does, and juxtaposing that with, the Robin Hood legend of merry old England just somehow works. It's kind of like when they put jazz in the Jungle Book. You know, it just somehow works. And those geniuses over at Disney figured it out. They figured out how to do that from time to time. And this is one of those cases. And I think it's got great adventure, some of the best adventure in any of their movies. It's got great humor. It's got a hilariously terrible bad guy in Prince John. You know, he's awful and he wreaks havoc, but he's also just kind of a screw up. And he's just...
It's one of those, like...
It's hilarious.
The only reason that he's in power is because of his rhino guards.
That's true. And the alligators and all those guys.
He's so much of a screw up.
Yeah. And, you know, I love it because it's one of those movies that's all animals, like Zootopia. And, you know, it's just...
I really wish Zootopia would have made my list. Spoilers, it's not on the list.
It's a good movie, man. But I also think it features one of the best sidekicks in any Disney movie in Sir Hiss. He is phenomenal.
You mean Ka?
Well, yeah, but no, Sir Hiss is unique enough. It's the same voice actor, but he does a unique enough thing. I find him hilarious in that movie. And just the classic happy ending, the beautiful resolution, the climax at the end before the resolution is so intense, and it's the perfect movie. I think it's great.
It is really good.
And underrated.
I would put it, I'd put it in my top 10, but this was, like, I had a bracket pretty much, where I was taking all the movies that I liked and I was putting them here. And I was like, okay, if I had to pick only this many, so I put them here. And until I just got my 5.
Yeah, that's
but
a good way to do
Robin Hood
it.
did make my list. So did Zootopia and Big Hero 6. They were all in the list.
Yeah.
And then, but I had to pick 5.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, those got bumped for my number 2.
Okay.
Disney's Hercules.
Excellent.
Love
That
Hercules.
is a great movie.
James Woods was freaking fantastic in that role.
Yeah,
he should be Hades in everything.
He's one of my favorite villains of all time. It's a great villain.
And the music, I love Mulan's music, but Hercules' music is far superior.
It's one of my top 1, 2, or 3 soundtracks in the Disney canon. It is phenomenal. The gospel element, all that soul they brought with the muses.
The muses were...
even Meg's song, I Won't Say I'm in Love, is perfect. I agree. The music just drives that movie. It's so good.
So I have a theme with mine. We had England. What was my number 4?
China.
Yeah,
Arabia.
We've had England, the Middle East, China, and now Greece.
Yeah.
So nothing is in America.
Yeah, seriously. What's going to be the last one? Saludos Amigos? Do you know what that is?
Did you just swear at me?
Hilarious. I got some work to do on Josh, guys. I gotta learn him up on the Disney. All right. My number 2?
Number 2.
Disney's Sleeping Beauty.
Yay!
Sleeping Beauty is the quintessential stylized animated feature film.
He put a sword through that.
The great thing about Disney's, early years of feature animation, like the first 20 years, was they had an army of top flight conceptual artists who were creating the color palettes and the look and the feel of, all of the initial artwork, all that concept art and all of the storyboard inspiration, and then ultimately what would become the film. But Walt always had a problem with the fact that he's got all these amazing fine artists creating all this beautiful concept work. But by the time they got it to the film, it had been distilled down and it had been cleaned up, and it didn't look like these paintings that they had done to give the artists an inspiration for what the movie was going to be. Well, Walt said enough's enough when it came to Sleeping Beauty. And Ivan Durrell, one of the most famous and respected Disney artists, was this incredible artist, incredible painter with this unique style that just jumps out at you, and you instantly know that you're looking at an Ivan Durrell piece when you see one. And Walt said, I want the movie to look like this. And he made that the look of the movie. And that was the first time it had ever happened. And really one of the only times it has ever happened. They always get, it's like Telephone. By the time it gets to the actual production, it's been
just diluted.
Yeah, it's diluted, or maybe not even diluted, but it's just changed enough that it doesn't look like that original concept. But on Sleeping Beauty, they maintain that look. And so you have all that wonderful, like, spattering texture on the stonework and those incredibly punchy colors and the sharp lines and the whole design of everything about it is Ivan Durrell, and it works so well. And it is so beautiful, and I never get tired of looking at it. It is one of those movies that doesn't have singing, really. There's that drunken song that they're all singing when they're having their feast or whatever. But,
yeah.
It's a Disney movie where they don't sing, which is kind of rare. I think more often than not they sing. But in this one they don't. And the music is much more a part of the texture of the film than it is an element in and of itself. And so I think this movie becomes so much about the visuals and obviously the characters and the story that they're driving through, but it's so much about the art itself that it stands alone just as a work of art. And I just adore it. I think it's beautiful.
I'll agree with that.
You like Sleeping Beauty, right?
Huh? Yeah. I said it was better than
Snow White.
Snow White, yeah. I really... Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to go, like, my favorite back from a long time ago Disney movie, it would be Snow White.
Okay.
It's really pretty. Plus, I like that prince. Kills a dragon and Maleficent.
Prince Philip, right? Maleficent.
Yeah.
That's
probably
one of the coolest
the
animated
best,
dragons.
Yeah, and she's probably one of the best villainesses of Disney.
Absolutely. I think she's one of the top villains of any animated film. It's really good. All right, you ready to drop your number one?
My number one.
Is this where I enter the drum roll?
No, I forgot. I was gonna try. I was gonna throw something in there that
a preamble
wasn't quite my number one, but
as a joke.
Yeah, but I couldn't remember if it was Disney or not.
What was it?
Is Titan AE Disney?
No.
Oh, come on, Titan AE is great.
No, I think that's Fox.
Oh,
it's good. It's
Matt
one of my
frickin' Damon.
Yeah, and it's one of my favorite sci-fi animated movies. Totally rotoscoped it though. They filmed it and traced the characters basically.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But no, it's a fantastic movie. I love it. It's a great space adventure.
Is Treasure Planet?
It's Guardians of the Galaxy before Guardians of the Galaxy.
Is Treasure Planet Disney?
Yes.
Okay,
I do like that
Planet.
too.
What about El Dorado?
No, that's
the Road to El
DreamWorks.
Dorado.
That's DreamWorks. I love that. Another good Elton John soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. But my number one, we're gonna go Disney's The Lion King.
Nice.
Yes.
Excellent pick.
I really don't have to explain why, because that was your
talked about
number 4. But just for highlights, Matthew Broderick, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, James Earl Jones,
Rowan Atkinson.
There we go. But no, like
Nathan Lane.
I really liked again, I'm a sucker for like the love stories and stuff. And Simba and Nala.
They got steamy in the jungle, man.
Yes, they did.
They got steamy. Yeah.
She licks him once, and I was like, oh! I was like, get it!
Yeah, that was pretty risque for Disney.
Yes.
A lick.
People don't lick in Disney films.
No,
not even in 101 Dalmatians.
People.
They don't lick in 101 Dalmatians.
They don't? There's no puppy licking?
I want a shirt now that just says puppy licking.
What? No puppy licking? That is a good t-shirt.
All right.
We got to keep a list of t-shirt ideas.
All right. So that was our top 5. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We have nothing else to talk about. My name's Josh.
Just because I was taking a drink of water, you tried to get me away from it, but I have to name
Dumbo.
Not only my top Disney movie of all time,
Don't forget.
but the top movie top Disney movie of all time. Disney's Pinocchio. Yeah. Cough up your hairball. I'm serious.
The only good part about Disney's Pinocchio was the cat.
Figaro's great. I love Figaro.
The rest of it was awful.
What? You need to watch it again. When's the last time you watched it?
Whenever I was young.
Okay, you need to watch it again as an adult with a mind of your own.
I had a mind when I was a youngin'.
It wasn't fully developed. You need to watch it now. Disney's Pinocchio is, to me, their all-time masterpiece. I think it is an amazing feat of animation. It's the stuff that they still study in animation schools, and I never tire of it. It has a huge cast of characters, especially a ton of villainous characters that Pinocchio's... I mean, in real life, Pinocchio wouldn't stand a chance against all this obstacle, but, in true Disney fashion, they find a way, and he makes it out at the end. But I hope I'm not spoiling this for anybody. It came out 85 years ago, but I just think it's perfect. I love the use of the famous Ub Iwerks invention, which is the multiplane camera. That's what gave Disney movies that incredible depth, where they're able to animate on several different layers of glass, basically, and film through it, and raise and lower those panels. That's what gives it that incredible depth, like when they're zooming into Pinocchio's village, or when they're underwater and you see back through different layers. That's how they're pulling that off, and the effects in it are incredible. Just the sheer draftsmanship and artistry that went into drawing that movie, it kills me every time I watch it. Plus, it's got great adventure, tons of tension with villainous obstacles in Pinocchio's way, including his own dumb brain making dumb decisions. But
oh, you mean like when he goes to live on the Isle of Misfit Toys or whatever that's called?
Pleasure Island, yes, exactly. But,
which is raunchy for Disney, Pleasure Island.
Well, there's a lot of I mean, you got a kid smoking a cigar, drinking beer. They could never get away with that today. But in the 30s, they could get away with that because the Little Rascals did stuff like that. But this movie has a lot of that classic feel to it. But I think it's still really applicable and alive today. I think that the story of it is easily ingested today. I think it has one of the most iconic Disney characters, if not the second most iconic Disney character, in Jiminy Cricket. Well, I think Genie's definitely top 5, but I would almost put it Mickey Mouse and then Jiminy Cricket. I mean, he's iconic. He is the voice of so many Disney things throughout the years. He sings what is basically the Disney theme song now, When You Wish Upon a Star, and I think that's hugely important within the Disney canon, and I want everybody to go and watch Pinocchio again if you haven't in a long time, or if you did yesterday, go ahead and watch it again because it's worth it. It's a beautiful, beautiful work of art. Well, I don't know. If you're a Pinocchio fan out there, hit me up. I want to know because I love Pinocchio fans because they're right. And with that bombshell, we'll close the show.
Thanks, Jeremy Clarkson. Jeez. Man, I don't even think I want to do any more podcasts with you after that.
No, you'll recover.
We got 2 in, and that was.
Well, see, what's going to happen is I'm going to convince you to watch it, and then you're going to thank me. That's what's going to happen.
Right before I take the cyanide pills, I'll be like, "Thanks, Gavin," and just take them. All right. Well, this was a fun episode.
I had fun. So what are we going to watch next time? Do you know yet?
I don't know yet. We may go a little web shows.
Really?
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe
okay.
something along the Rooster Teeth genre.
All right.
Maybe a little, Ooh.
What are you thinking?
I don't know. Got a couple options.
A cliffhanger here? We're going to end on a cliffhanger? All right.
Just
that's cool.
Rooster Teeth.
Well, guys, look for our post on Wednesday. We're going to post every Wednesday about what to watch so that you can keep up with us and watch the same thing so that we don't spoil it for you. But as soon as Josh decides, we'll go ahead and watch it too.
Yeah.
And that way we can have it fresh in our minds when we talk about it. So, and then next time we're going to do another top 5. Mm-hmm. We're going to try and do that every episode. And if you guys want to leave your comments for us on our Instagram site or Facebook and tell us what your top 5 Disney movies are.
We want to hear your top 5 Disney movies.
We would love to hear what you guys think. And I think people will pick lists probably closer to yours than mine because, like you said, I'm an old soul.
My generation knows Instagram.
But my generation knows the cream. You know, your generation just knows all the foam on top. Your generation,
you know, eats cream corn and spinach. And my generation, I'm like sushi.
I do like sushi.
Well, stop being an old soul. You can have some.
All right.
All right. My name's Josh, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Josh L. Kane.
And I'm Gavin, and you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Gavin Otteson Art. And our good buddy Jeff, who did our voiceover work for us, will now tell you where you can find our podcast and our podcast friends in the outro.
Before that, though, would like to give a nice, wonderful shout-out to Liam DeCosmo from Cloud City Cast.
Definitely.
For all of his awesome work and help in setting this podcast up, giving us nice little feedback when we needed it, ignoring emails.
And for the open arms into the Secret
family.
Superhero Club family.
All right, guys. Until next week. I don't have a sign-off yet.
Yeah, we'll work on a sign-off. We'll get one. We'll get a catchy sign-off.
Until next week, sign off.
Sign off.
Thank you for listening to the Animation Station Podcast. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Animation Station Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Animate Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes. And join the conversation at secretsuperheroclub.com, where you can connect with our podcast friends, Cloud City Cast, Getting Into Comics, and Shaun of the Gathering.